Thank you. We will record this meeting for today, and afterwards it will be published on our YouTube channels. I welcome everyone to open your camera if you'd like to, but please keep your microphone muted so all our voices will be clear. And also, if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, so we will discuss them later at the end of the webinar. So first of all, welcome everyone, and I will talk about these subjects today. The webinar outline is as follows. First, we will have an introduction. Then we have the talk by Her Excellency Dato Nadzirah Osman, who is the Malaysian ambassador to the Netherlands. And then I will tell about my experience studying abroad. And afterwards, Dr. Ireena Ibnu will tell about her research and why Islamic Piety Movements are important among Malaysian women students while studying abroad. And after that, we will take some time to answer the questions that you have. So currently we are working with 7 hours of time difference. So without further ado, I will continue. This webinar is organized by Islamic Faculty Amsterdam. We are in University of Applied Sciences who started in 2018. We are still in the process of accreditation, but therefore we are also trying to establish and expand our international relationships. Therefore, we reached out to University Technology Mara, and we are trying to see if we can have any collaborations on future exchange programs for staff and students. And we also have a very special speaker today, and that's Her Excellency Dato Nadzirah Osman. As I mentioned before, she is the ambassador of Malaysia to the Netherlands. Of course, she has a lot of international experience. She is now posted in The Hague. Previously, she has been ambassador in the Czech Republic, and also has been stationed in other posts for in the UK and in Mexico. So we can say she has a lot of international experience, and she also knows about how it is as a Muslim woman to live abroad. And also, of course, how the role of the Malaysian embassy is in supporting Malaysian students when staying in the Netherlands or any other country. Please, Her Excellency Dato, you can take the floor.
Thank you, Rozianna. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. First and foremost, allow me to express my appreciation to Ms. Rozianna, Maria, and also Dr. Ireena Ibnu, our distinguished host today, for inviting me to address this webinar, and also the kind words of welcome. Thank you. As Ambassador of Malaysia to the Kingdom of the Netherlands, I am actually very pleased to be given the opportunity to be part of this webinar and meeting with students from both the Islamic Faculty Amsterdam and also Mara University of Technology. Based on the data by the Ministry of Education Malaysia in 2019, more than 70,000 Malaysians were studying abroad, while around 92,000 foreign students were studying in Malaysia. Comparatively, these numbers manifest an equilibrium in the quality and standards of education, whether at home or abroad. However, a chance to study in a foreign land would provide an opportunity for students to broaden their horizon, instill resilience, understanding the different culture, values, and environment, as well as enable expansion of networking. I strongly believe that the experience of studying and living abroad would definitely contribute towards character building and subsequently help in future career, community, and also society. It is important for students actually to take advantage of living in a foreign land, to also respect the different religion, culture, and also values. There are many good values from different cultures that we can adopt, and without us realizing it, from other students may also adopt some of our own values. At the same time, we must take the opportunity to create new avenues to showcase the country's national identity and values, as well as to promote cultural outreach and exchanges. For many years, Students Exchange Program has been one of the catalysts for the students to gain experience and expand their knowledge by living and studying in a foreign country. To ensure the success of such program, my advice is for students to make use of their time abroad to learn as much as they can, make as many friends as they can, and bring back the experience and knowledge and share them with your friends back home. At the same time, I strongly encourage Malaysian students to promote our country, be it tourism, culture, food, and also our own values when they are abroad. In a way, students also play the role of an ambassador when they are abroad. For the Malaysian Embassy in The Hague and Malaysian embassies anywhere else around the globe, among the services that we provide for Malaysians and also Malaysian students include consular services, such as renewal of passports, attestation of documents, among others. We provide information to students from the Netherlands on the current visa requirements and the relevant guidelines relating to studying in Malaysia. For Malaysian students who are planning to study abroad, it is actually advisable for you to contact the relevant foreign embassies in Malaysia or the international office of the universities. They will be able to advise you with the requirement set by the destination countries and also the universities. For Malaysian students who are interested to study in the Netherlands, you may also wish to contact the Malaysian Students' Council in the Netherlands, or MSCN. MSCN is established in May this year. I have met with the committee members last Saturday. Despite being relatively new, they have already done a pre-arrival webinar for new students. They are happy and eager to assist Malaysian students to adjust to the student life in this country. The embassy is working very closely with the MSCN on this. Once again, I would like to thank the organizers for this opportunity to address the webinar, and I wish you all a successful webinar. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Dato Nadzirah Osman, for your speech. I think it's very useful for Malaysian students to know and to learn where they can go if they want to study abroad. I think it's very good that the Malaysian Students' Council in the Netherlands has been established, and also I hope that they will be very active in organizing events for the Malaysian students, because I think later on Dr. Ireena will tell how important it is for Malaysian students while being abroad to have some connection with home, to also get the feeling of family, and that you won't miss Malaysia too much, and also have a safe and secure place. And thank you very much, Dato. Then I would like to continue with my experience. In 2012, February 2012, I was studying international management at the University of Applied Sciences in Amsterdam. And during my third year, there was an opportunity to do an exchange program in Malaysia. So for me, the decision was quickly made that I wanted to go to Malaysia, because being a daughter of a Malaysian father and a Dutch mother, I have always had the feeling that I wanted to go back to Malaysia. So when this opportunity arrived, I made an appointment with USM, University Science Malaysia in Penang, and I have applied to do my exchange program over there. So on the 8th of February 2012, it was freezing in the Netherlands. I still remember very well, it was almost about -10 degrees. There was snow and ice in the streets. And I went to the airport, and my family and my fiance came there to send me off. And during that time, I was a Muslim, but I was not practicing Islam very much. But when I was going to travel there, I already had my intention. When I'm going to study in Malaysia, I want to start wearing hijab. I want to learn more about my religion, about my culture. So that was my intention while going. When the airplane took off, I had a transfer in Dubai, and in Dubai, I went to the restroom. I put on my hijab, and this was the first day of my life that I started as a hijabi. And this period in Malaysia has strengthened me in my steadfastness to keep holding it on when I was back in the Netherlands. So when I arrived in Malaysia, when the airport's doors, the sliding doors open, you feel the heat of the Malaysian, the tropical Malaysian weather. So coming from -10 in the Netherlands and being hugged by the Malaysian tropical weather of more than 30 degrees, it was, yeah, definitely a warm welcome. So also when I arrived there, I was picked up by a van of the university, and they sent us to the ladies only hostel. During my stay at the university campus, I stayed at the hostel, and it was a girls only hostel. I shared a room with one other international student. She was from Indonesia. And I've stayed there for one semester, about 5 to 6 months. And during the first few weeks, we had to pick out the courses we were going to follow during our exchange period. And since I wanted to know more about Malaysia and about the Malaysian culture, the subjects that I chose were all related to that. So I chose Bahasa Malaysia, Economy Malaysia, Gender, Ideology and Power, and Malaysian Studies, and last, Islamic Thinking and Social Changes. So in this last study course, Islamic Thinking and Social Changes, I have met Dr. Ireena and also Hani, who is with us today. In this class, there were only 3 students, so it was the 3 of us. And we have been busy with our assignments about philosophy, about Islamic thinking, social changes, how the media is affecting Islam and the view of Islam in different parts of the world. And during this time, the course was in Malay, and my Malay is not really of a high level at that time. But thankfully to Dr. Ireena and Hani, and also the lecturers who always took the time to translate everything for me, to give me English explanation. But also outside of class, we have spent a lot of time together. The campus is very big, so we went together for eating at restaurants. We went together for praying at the mosque. We went just to hang out together or make some assignments. And during this time, and also in the ladies only hostel where I was staying, I met a lot of new friends, Malaysian, Muslim, but also internationally Muslim friends. And while gaining knowledge together, going to the library and also praying together and just having some informational sessions, it really increased my love for Islam. And also it has, it has really made me feel the sisterhood of how it was. I haven't experienced that before in the Netherlands when that was in that time. So now, almost 10 years later, Dr. Ireena and Hani also, we still keep in contact. So this is how you can see that the warm relationships that you can build up during exchange program can still maintain 10 years later. And in the meanwhile, we have met each other also in Malaysia as well as in the Netherlands, because Dr. Ireena, she has done her PhD research in the UK at the University of Sussex. And currently, she is a senior lecturer in the Faculty of Communication and Media Studies at University of Technology Malaysia. So her research interests include intercultural communication, transnational migration, international student experience, and cultural anthropology. And I would like to give the floor to you, Dr. Ireena, so you can tell more about your research of why Islamic piety movements are important among Malaysian women studies while studying abroad.
Thank you so much, Rozianna. I will share the slide now. Yep, can you guys see the slide? All right. So again, Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon there in Netherlands to everyone, especially to the members of the Islamic Faculty of Amsterdam and to Her Excellency Dato Nadzirah Osman, the Ambassador of Malaysia to the Netherlands. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to Rozianna for organizing this webinar to share my recent publications in Sage publication. My input research, mainly about the Malaysian women experience studying abroad. Basically, this is my original research thesis, doctoral thesis about the female Malaysian Muslim students' experiences in the UK, which concern about their piety and everyday life in Manchester and Cardiff. So basically, my research in PhD is not just focused about their piety movement. I'm interested to explore about their outside campus, off-campus experience, not just about their struggle on campus, but what actually these women student, female student do, in the UK, basically, do they interact with a foreigner or international student, or they just stay among themselves, what actually they do. And also the questions that I would like to ask, what make these students, some of them, become more religious when they return to their home country? It's not the question why they become more socialized people, because instead I'm interested to know what make them more pious or religious when they return to Malaysia, when they study abroad, what causes them to, to participate in some of the Islamic piety movement, because this is based on my experience where my mom was kind of afraid when she know that I got offered to study abroad in the UK. She kept reminding me, don't, participate, get involved in some of the radical extreme, piety movement, because we have that kind of perceptions about some of the movement related to the religions. And considering UK also one of the highest risk country that always considering Islamophobia, incident attacks and so on. So this is a pictures of the Manchester City, which is one of my fieldwork locations that I focus on. So mainly in my PhD research, I focus on two locations, the city of the Manchester and also the Cardiff city. Why I choose Manchester is because it was chosen because of its position as a top 5 popular university destinations for the Malaysian student. I also got the statistic during my study around 2016-15 from the higher education Malaysia and the UK to know where the most Malaysian students go to study. And in this research, there are 30 students involved, but in this today presentation, I will focus on the city of Manchester, where it involved 18 Malaysian female students, which their age between early 20s to mid 30s. So we have undergraduate and postgraduate students. So they also were recruited because of the criteria. Basically, they need to at least live in the UK for 6 months to have some sort of experience. And also, they should be at least a student. Yeah, that's be my main focus. So this is the recent paper that published in the research publication. This is basically one of the chapters in my research. As I mentioned, I'm not just interested about the piety movement because I'm myself not in this particular movement before. It is my curiosity and interested to understand, because there's a lack research about the Malaysian student or migrants abroad. We have a lot of data about people living abroad, but they're less about focusing about Malaysian in particular. So this paper is also one of my chapter, which is considering the Islamic Piety Movement, basically the role of a piety movement in the life of Malaysian female student. So I'm using the ethnography approach where I live with my participants for about 8 months in Manchester City to understand about the experience, and it is including myself participating in any activities this student participate. So the concept of this paper used the widely regarded terms of transnational migrations, which refer to the regular and repeated movement across national boundaries, in which individuals maintain continued contacts with event and other individuals in more than one places. So this is one of the reasons why I'm interested to know. And this is also the specific history. Before we go further about the Malaysian movement currently happened in the UK, focusing on Islamic, we need to also look at the specific history between the UK and Malay student relations. This is one of interesting paper that I found written by the Zainal Anwar. So she concluded that the British University were where Malaysian students came into contact with other Muslims from around the world. So the radical interpretations professed by students from other Muslim countries, such as Pakistan and the Middle East, generated a transnational community, such as Muslim Brotherhood in the UK in the post-colonial period. So here, this transnational community can be understood as the migrant populations that living in a country other than their country of origin, but with ties to their country of origin. So in 1971, the Malaysian government began sending many Malaysian Muslim students to the UK. And there's an Islamic organization at that time. There's only two. There is, you can see on the slide, we have MISG, the Malaysian Islamic Study Group. And the other one is the Federations of Student Islamic Society, known as FOSIS. So both of these organizations were based in London and already existed at that time. So in this slide, you can see the FOSIS, which is known as the mentioned Federations of the Student Islamic Movement Society, were established in 1963, and this is actually was dominated by the Arab and South Asian student. The aim of this organization basically to increase the awareness among Muslim students about the world of Islam, whereby for the MISG, the Malaysian Islamic Study Group was founded in Illinois in the US in 1976. The aim of this basically to assist the Malaysian student in walking the path of success whilst they are here in the US and Canada. So this is basically based in the US, and also students can fulfilling their responsibilities as students, as members of the communities, and as a servant of God. So, however, looking back in now, in contemporary Malaysian student migration to the UK, there's only a handful of studies that look into this active role of piety movements or into questions concerning how their experience as student migrants has played a role in their discovering and embracing such form of religious concept. So this is the basically research aim and objective for my research. To research, the research basically to document and explore their everyday life of the student, reflecting on the challenge they face and concerns and pleasure they experience while living, studying in the UK. And the second is to explore the transnational life experience of female Muslim students in the UK. So the research question, there are two, basically what will happen to these female Malaysian students when they come to the UK. What they will, written as what they, dream, will they become someone that they hope for, and how do female Malaysian Muslim students experience the process of transnational migration during the stay in the UK. So here, this is the methodology that I use in my research because this is ethnographic study. So there are a lot of method involved, such as participant observation. We have in-depth interviews, semi-structured conversations, and basically how I collect my data. So this method allows me to observe the participant daily life, listening to them and engaging with them through in-depth conversation. And also this participant observation or semi-structured interviews, this is very important method because it enables me to gain more in-depth knowledge and understanding the student activity. So basically, whenever they go for sport, for gathering, I will follow and will ask questions and also observe about the activity. So basically, during the participant observation, the field note and recording were used. I also, of course, asking their consent if they're comfortable when I'm conducting the interview, if they want to be recorded. And the field note were description of the event and encounters with people. I also use my own field note. Basically, this is the explanation how I actually use my fieldwork by using the field note. I wrote down everything I remember from the day once I was back in my room in the evening. The data in my field note were developed through interactions with the informants or any interesting event that occurred, which I found invaluable for my research. So let's talk about the findings, because we say that to what extent this religious piety movement important to students. And here the participants were asked how they came to know about the Islamic Piety Movement. I'm sure that most of them don't have any idea what is it about before they come to UK. Maybe some of them have some knowledge about this. So this will be the question. And also for information in my research, the Islamic Movement organization that I research on is the IKRAM, known as the IKRAM. They don't have any, detail about meaning about IKRAM, but it's known as a IKRAM, which are based in the UK. And okay, we move to the next slide. This is the first finding that I got during my fieldwork. I will have a question like how the student actually get involved in this piety movement, who actually influenced them or how they know about this. So surprisingly, most of them told me the same story during the interview. They know about this Islamic movement. We known as basically at the USRA, the Islamic Circle discussion, through the seniors who studied before them and helped them during the first few days of their arrival in the UK. So basically, these students refer to their established student as the kakak, the senior, welcome them at the airport on their arrival. So this is also one of the example of the finding transcription that I got from the INI, one of the informant. She told that this kakak, meaning the senior student, female student, picked me up from the airport and they hosted us in their house for a few days. And they took us to the city. They were so nice, and that is how I know about USRA from them. So basically, the first encountering strategy of recruitment, I would say, they will go to the airport and to meet the juniors, to help them. So this is actually contradict with others' research where most of these migrant students, they are struggling to get some help with the people in the host country. But in Malaysia case, especially in the city of Manchester, these new students, they're coming to UK, they don't have any problem in terms of when they're coming to adjust themselves, in terms finding the accommodations or going to their own place of stay. So they actually have sort of people, Malaysian students, they will willingly, voluntarily help these students when they come to the UK, by hosting them, providing them with some, nice hospitality, and they bring them to the city. So this student basically doing that for free, then don't be get any payment from people to do that. This is basically part of their voluntary activities. And also the second is that the pre-departure program on the preparation to study abroad. The other reason why these students know about this Islamic circle discussion is that through the pre-departure camp, this actually held during this summer break in Malaysia between 8 to 10 August. This is where the student who will study abroad will attend this program. So it was named the Journey of Muslim, and aimed to the college students who have been offered places and scholarship to pursue their degrees in the UK and also the Ireland. So this pre-departure camp, basically 3 days, and was designed to guide students in the preparation as a Muslim student abroad. So in my research, not everybody know about this program or involved, but this is also one of the factors how students know about this piety movement organizations. So during the orientation program, students were also encouraged to ask the seniors about student life, so that they can physically, mentally prepare. So basically, students who study in the UK, they will volunteer themselves to organize in this event, and also invite all students who have got offered to study abroad, basically to do some sharing, to tell them what kind of tips you should know when you study abroad, so as a preparation, so that students will not have culture shock or difficult to adjust themselves. So basically, most students that involved in the committee of this Journey of Muslim refer to the students who were active in USRA, and they become the committee members, and during the second or third year of study. So this actually finally show that how the co-national friendship, that those who residing in the UK, they also have communicated with those yang will come to the UK. This is what we call a transnational. They still do some connection and also contributions to the country of their origin, to serve as a medium of interactions and providing emotional and also spiritual support. And then the other reasons during my interview with my participants, how come you know about this, Islamic Piety Movement, how you get involved in ISRA, and most of them also will say that it is influenced from the family members. And this is also actually one of the main reasons why the student actually already know that about this Piety Movement or the USRA participation. So here we have an example from the Afia. My mom was the discussion leader, we call it Nakiba, in the Islamic circle movement, a circle discussion. So when she studied at the University of Wisconsin, she told me to join USRA because it shares Islamic values and teaching, which will help boost my faith when studying abroad. So basically, Afia, never participated in this movement before, but because her mother was one of these members during her study in the US. So she encouraged her, why not you join this? This will be helpful for you. So this is why the reason why she participated. And second is the Nat. She also has a very interesting story. She's non-hijabi, she's not wearing hijab, but she's participated in this Usrah movement. And the main motivation and reason why she joined is because my most significant influence is my brother. Oh my God, he's such a nice guy. He's not like me, laughing, considering herself as someone, very modern, crazy and, not very serious. And he said to me, sister, cubalah to join you. So try to join this. You just trying to see what is it like. So she said, at first she was very reluctant, and then she said, it's fine. And we will see what she feel when she joined this, whether she like it or not. And the third one, participant, known as Jasmine. I knew about this when I visited my twin sister in the Brisbane, Australia. I fell in love with the discussion and determined to participate in the USRA once I started my study in the UK. So Jasmine also has an interesting story because she first encountered this religious circle movement when she visited her twin sister in Australia. And then she also have this kind of spirit motivated her to join once she studied in the UK. So she already set in her mind that I'm going to participate the kind of movement once I study in the UK because I love it and I think it's really helpful. So speaking about the Nat, the second informant, who's I mentioned about very reluctant at first, she actually came from the Chinese converted Muslim family. So both of her parents converted to Islam before they got married. So although she does not wear headscarf or hijab, it does not stop her from trying out the USRA after she was persuaded to do so by her brother. And her brother is actually one of the prominent USRA, I would say, a member, who always give talk about Islam. So she also described her brother as a religious and good person. So we need to say that she got the perception those who participate in this as a good person because of his active involvement in the Piety movement in Manchester. And also this is also finding from my own fieldwork where I do my observation by attending these two events involve the Malaysian student abroad. We have this T&T known as Trip and Treat and also Quranic Circle. So basically Trip and Treat, this T&T and Quranic Circle provided more social space, I would say, for the respondent to learn about Islam and to share problems they face in the host country. So basically this is like a system support group. When a student, look forward, they're going to meet each other. It's twice in a month. So whenever they meet, they will, share about their problems related to their, religions. For example, I would describe first what actually this event about. For the event like Trip and Trip, for example, the event will begin with the Quran recital, followed by the knowledge sharing activities. So one of the students will be selected to discuss about their experience and challenge confronting Muslim students in the West and share advice based on the hadith. So there's also the hadith sharing by one of the students. And discussion was then open to the participant to share experience or to offer advice. So for example, when I attended this event, one of the students said that they have difficulty to, to inform the male students, non-Muslim, when they start to offer them to shake hand, to do the hugging stuff like that. So they don't know how to, to deny that kind of, to face that kind of situations, because this student age between 18, 20s, when they study abroad, they've not been exposed to this kind of, environment. They know that it is wrong to do that, or it is haram, whatever stuff, but they don't know how to, describe, how to say it. In one interesting example that they're asking one of my informant, why you study 5 times per day, why not 7, why not 6? So she has difficulties to explain that. So with that, considering situations, so where the student gonna find way to explain, who gonna help them? So basically this anti-trip, the crying circle is the place for them to seek advice from the seniors, those more knowledgeable, because I'm sure it's quite difficult to get the Islamic classes or courses when you study abroad. They basically you need to attend by yourself, your initiative. So this crying circle and TNT, one of the initiatives that this group sharing session, and those who experience the same thing will share how they do it. So one of these by the postgraduate student, the PhD student by Zalila. When I attended this, I heard that she told to the participant, as a Muslim female student, we have to be honest and tell them, the lecturers and friends, referring to the campus situation, the truth if you want to pray during the class. So this student basically juggling, finding time to pray. They will say they go to toilet, they will find space. They will not say they're going to pray, I'm just going to toilet, I'm going to have some drink for a break, whatever. So I know that many of us struggle with class schedule and finding time to pray on campus. Also why we can have direct physical contact with the male students, such as hugging or shaking hand. I am sure they will understand once you explain to them nicely. So it really took them some gut to explain, because the moment you explain, you need to have justifications, and this student will keep asking another questions by another question. So it took people with the good knowledge and preparations to face this kind of situation. So basically this is how actually she told to the student, just be honest and tell that you want to go to pray. I'm sure they're going to understand it, because I'm sure that in most of university now, people know that how Muslim, they need to pray. It's just that they need to find time to asking you personally, probably like questions such as why 5, why 7. But basically, if, she mentioned that if you want to pray, just tell the teachers that you need to pray. And what we can conclude from these 2 events is basically, first, it served as a meeting point for the Malaysian Muslim student in Manchester, as a meeting point where they can share everything. And second, the TNT can be considered as a providing spiritual nourishment for those students far away from their family and Muslim environment and feeling the need for the Islamic reminder and advice. And also during the Piety movement, some students say that, I hardly read Quran unless if I come to this kind of event, it reminds me, to read the Quran, at least a page of that or a sharing session. And the Islamic discussion and lessons with the seniors, especially in aspect related to the adapting to the Muslim lifestyle in the host country, were seen as a point of reference for sustaining the faith. By meeting regularly with the sisters, you know how to prepare yourself very well. I know how to answer this question next time. So next time if he or she asking me, I have, way to answer it. So evidently, the bond among these female students remains strong throughout this event, owing the continuity and regularity of the activities. So as I mentioned, it's twice in the month. And this is event not just you come there, read Quran, they're very serious. Basically, the main attractions of this event is that there's a food provided. And I know that most of Malaysian students, we love food so much. So most of them will come beside, the bonding, they will have a food, people will bring up food, we can eat together at a time. So next sections of my research finding will talk about the importance of the Piety movement in a student life. So to what extent that this Piety movement is important and why they choose to participate in these activities. So one of the key findings is that leading a virtuous, well-rounded Muslim life, basically when they join Usra, they will say this is like a reminder to me. For example, Yasmin, I find it's very helpful in connecting things It is spiritual, but you also get to see your friends. So we are like family because we love each other for the sake of Allah. It is something reliable to keep reminding you what you have to do every week. So maybe 5 days she feel lazy to go to class, she watch a lot of movie, but Friday is a time for you to go to Usra. So this is where I will, clean myself. I will reflect that I do a lot of, unbeneficial things. So when they got here, they meet good people. I would say not good people in terms of reminding each other. So this is a picture where we, our last Usra session, we conducted in park. So the good thing about this movement, when I join this participant, we not just focus on a private space such as housing, living room stuff, but we also will go for sport, restaurant. It's just basically everywhere. We go to the swimming, swimming stadium places. Then we have Usra, we go for sport, badminton. Then we have the Usra session. So it can come with a lot of activities. It's not just, go to one house person and that's it. It can be in many ways. So I would say that the piety movement among these students were fashioned in a fun and fit ways. Have opportunity to go to swim with them. Then we go to the, reflections by using the Quran. And the other reason why they joined is because they say it's helped them to overcoming the stress and loneliness. For example, the nut, I think that this is what I mentioned about the Chinese parents reverted student, where her brother, one who persuaded her to, and she told me that I think that most of the thing that taught me is like things you should already know, but you did not realize before. But now you realize it. When you are stressed, and shouldn't forget that Allah is already planned everything. No matter if you are facing hardship in life, like whatever happened for reasons. Put your trust in Allah. I love this little reminder. Sometimes when you're so stressed with your study and your life, you tend to, do things that can harm you, and you have to sit back and relax. So when you go to Usra, there's something will come down that remember everything is under control, Allah will take care of everything. So that kind of thing really comfort her. So that by taking part in Usra help her to think like a Muslim who should see such affiliations and adversity as a test and necessary component of life. Basically, this is just a test. I should pass this. I shouldn't be too stressed. So the above reminder from Usra comforted her, increased her spiritual awareness. So she at first was quite reluctant to join this, but once she participated, she can see that, well, makes sense. I have people who will remind me about, there's a more superior than us. There's a God that we should, rely on. And then there's a conclusion about this research. Basically, the paper sought to unpack the reason behind female Malaysian Muslim student involvement and participations and piety organization, and the role of this organization play in the student life. So basically, this study concludes that these students' experience are managed through a range of ritual, practice, and spaces in a manner that provides an opportunity both for students to think actively about their Muslim selfhood. And this is the most important, and even myself, a researcher, I think, by participating myself in this, it made me rethink back why we pray 5 times, why we have to cover ourselves, when you live abroad, that kind of question will come to you. Why in Malaysia, it doesn't be a big issue of questions that we need to ask. And for Muslim women to learn how to handle unfamiliar social and cultural diversity. So the moment you live as a minority, then only you will have the skill, to think how I'm gonna handle situations. I'm not used to this kind of situations where most of my classmates go to the pub. What should I do? I need to friend with them too, because this is the only my classmates. So what you want to do? Will you just drink with them, or you just choose orange as a replacement of the beer or whatever? So they need to think this kind of unfamiliar social and cultural diversity. So the result of this study can inform the work of faculty, staff, and administrations in their efforts to help female Muslim international students navigate their life abroad, especially in Western culture where they are an easy identifiable minority. This is actually quite serious because most of my informants, especially those who belong to the science stream course, she's the only, Muslim in her course, and she's the only Asian probably, or the one who wears hijab. So she feel like discriminated in, especially during discussion, and even to understand the British joke, you know, because when they make fun, you couldn't actually catch what kind of fun is that, how you're going to laugh at the kind of joke. So here, higher education institutions must find ways to further support female Muslim students to integrate on campus while allowing them to maintain their religious and cultural values. So these are some recommendations, basically maybe a module on Islam in courses on introduction to religious studies, helping female Muslim students feel welcome on campus by offering more culturally and religiously acceptable social events. Probably that serve halal food, probably some usually already provided, maybe some not. And organizing panel discussion and seminar to educate the greater campus population about the women and Islam, basically to empower them, to give them more confidence when facing people from different faiths. So I guess that's all for me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Ireena, for your interesting talk. I really enjoyed looking and hearing what you have to say. And also, I do have a lot of questions actually, because it's a very interesting topic, but I first want to give the opportunity to our participants to ask some questions about what they have heard for your research. So I would like to invite anyone. You can also open your microphone if you'd like, or you can put your questions in the chat and then we can discuss them. I see Victoria has a question. Please.
I would like to ask if there is like a directory or maybe some help that can be provided to the students if they are in a very stressful situation but not able to talk about it in the group. Although the group, of course, is very important, maybe they have other issues that they want to talk about privately with a psychologist or a coach. If there are any, if there is anything in place for them already, or if that would be a good thing to do.
All right. Thank you so much, Victoria, for your questions and very wonderful questions. I think we're talking about the mental health issues, probably because you mentioned about psychology stuff. But for the region wise, I think most of students, of course, not all of them comfortable, you know, to openly talk about their problems during the gathering or religious circle. But what I see that most of them, those are very secretive, very we call it quite, you know, introvert. They will personally approach the leader of the group or someone that respected most, have more knowledge about Islam personally. They'll talk to the sisters, or they have some people that among the Nakibah that they're comfortable with to share their problems. Or speaking about the mental issues, I think I'm sure that most of the university have provided that kind of service, but it's just between how the student feel comfortable or not. Because speaking again, we are considering about the religions, different backgrounds. Some university will see that, oh, this is just on your mind. You just think that people hate you, but actually they're not, you know, some of the tips probably not useful, but I think it's advisable if they choose the right person that they're comfortable most. I'm not sure what kind of problem you're referring to, but based on my observation, if the person have very personal stuff that they want to ask or seek for the advice, they will secretly go to the person among the religious group, the sisters that they're most comfortable, who soft-spoken, who they feel that I trust these people, you know, I trust this sister. She's probably will be the best help, although her best friend might not know about her problems. We have that kind of issues as well, because yeah, I understand that, because we're speaking about problem, you know, it could be, for us, it should be a small problem, but for this student, this is a huge problem that she needs to tell to somebody. And also I have participants who actually empower herself, you know, to be the leader of the Nakibah. She challenged herself to participate more in just, you know, by helping people, giving advice based on her own problem. Yeah, I hope this really helped your question, to answer your question.
Dr. Bahadi Budak wants to ask you a question.
Thanks for this interesting subject. I am curious about the cooperation of the Malaysian student organization and other Muslim student organizations, and the effect of this cooperation about these student organizations.
Okay, is that questions or opinion? So are you saying that you're curious when all these Malaysian students, they are too immersed with themselves in the Malaysian Muslim organizations? Are you asking that what about their relationship with the other Muslim student? Is it?
With other international student organ like a Pakistani or Turkish or other Muslim student organizations, yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm based on my research. This is basically speaking about the Manchester contact of Malaysian student. I see that we actually have more activities at the most local most where I stay. So when I attended the most, I can see that most of them actually do have good connections with others Muslim international students. This is speaking about the Muslim Brotherhood situations where they actually make friendship during the meeting at the most, but I'm not sure about on campus. But speaking about being international student in Manchester, there's a lot of Pakistanis, Afghan people. Basically, when you live in Manchester, the place where I stay, it doesn't look like the UK environment at all. Lots of halal food, curry houses. So in terms of that, they have a very good brotherhood relationship. In fact, we have one restaurant, Afghan restaurant, who provide free drinks to Malaysians. They even put advertisement at the door in our own language. I'm sure they don't want to offend other people or students. They will say free drinks to Malaysians. So whenever we go there, we got free drinks and when we buy food. So this is show that how the transnational relationship occur between the Malaysians, because there are a lot of Malaysian students coming to the UK, especially Manchester is very popular city. I think the first is because of the Manchester Club, football club. And the second is what, because of the, as I mentioned, there's a lot of migrants live in the Manchester, Pakistani from the Middle East and also African countries. So most of them belong to the Muslim populations. So this is why people find this comfortable, where they don't feel afraid. Whenever there's a Islamophobia attacks, especially in the UK, I think living in Manchester will be one of the places that you feel safe, kind of safe compared to myself in Brighton, where I will see a lot of, less of Muslim population, less of migrant. There's a lot of local British people. So this is where I find it quite scared to go out, because I believe that there's less Muslim populations. But in Manchester, when there's a bombing attack during my fieldwork, I kind of afraid to go outside because we don't want people to torture Muslim is bad. Usually that will happen in my imagination and in the media. But these students, they feel nothing at all. They just go to the mall, they go to the bus because they believe that everywhere you will see the brothers, the Muslim brothers will protect you, especially those from Pakistan, those who recognize you as a Muslim. I hope this helped your question, Dr. Bahari.
I'm interested in the contact you have with other Muslim organizations, like student organizations, like Karam or Ikram, you talk
Ikram.
about?
Yeah.
Which theological discussion do you have with them, and which effect did they have on the Malaysian students? What bring they with them in theological view to Malaysia with them?
Okay, that's a very interesting question. So when I participate that, I see that there's a lot of intellectual Muslim scholars that belong to this IKRAM, because this is associations where they gather most of the intellectual Muslims who study abroad. So these people who are very concerned about the Islamic, they're successful. I think they have 5 pillars if you go to the website. They want to be not only educated Muslim, but those who can balance the world, who can contribute to the Ummah and so on. So they have their own agenda by, having these organizations. They want this student, when you return to Malaysia, you have other responsibility. when you study abroad, you don't bring that all Western knowledge, but you should bring what the Muslim, attitude, what kind of Muslim values. So we have sort of a lot of activities such as winter camp or summer camp. So students will pay like as cheap as £2 or £30. We go there by bus in one place, having activity and also the sharing sessions. So during that activities, they will call all the Muslim scholars, especially coming from Malaysia, or those who already have knowledge and experience. They are very intellectual, they're very educated Muslim. Mostly they're Western educated Malaysians who actually establish themselves. They will share their knowledge, and this is also one of the way for them to find people who actually can replace them. You know what I'm saying? Like someone who can nurture the future Malaysians educated, Western educated, to keep in this circle. We need to say not bring gap to other Western, you friend with them, but bring your Muslim values together with you. Yeah. Rozianna, for information, Dr. Buddha, I have my dean, I think around with us. I think I've seen her just now, Dr. Masila. She's the dean of my faculty. Inshallah, we were working, and also my deputy dean, Dr. Wan Hartibi. We are working on the MOU. Inshallah, soon we're going to have that kind of ceremony. We will inform you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any more questions from the participants? You can raise your hand or put your question in the chat. In the meanwhile, I already also have a question. You did your research specifically for the UK, but do you expect other outcomes if you would research, for example, the Netherlands, because of course it's not an English-speaking country? And do you have any ideas on that?
Yeah, actually, I would love to have my second project experiencing those Malaysian Muslim in the non-English speak country. I think it will be interesting. Another challenge of adaptation, culture adjustment, because learning language itself also considered as one of the challenges, especially. But I'm quite impressed with your Rozianna, because you told me you just took 8 months to learn Bahasa Malaysia and you could speak very frequently Malay. So I think my next, inshallah, if I have opportunity to do my postdoc or sabbatical or visiting, I would love to go to Netherlands to explore how actually not just Malaysian, how actually Muslim in Netherlands survive, because I've been there once just for 1 day. It is a very short trip because it's so expensive during the tulip season, but my husband was there for 3 months during his company exchange. He been assigned to the, I think Amsterdam, is it how to pronounce it, for 3 months, and he eat kebab every day. He eat kebab every day. I think that's the only option he has. So I would love to know how actually Muslim in Netherlands, and knowing that IUA already now establishing inshallah soon will be get your accreditations. I think this is a good sign to show that we have a place to work together in future, bring more Muslim research and scholar in Netherlands. Yeah, I would love to, inshallah, to see how actually you guys adapting yourself, what kind of challenges you guys feel, discriminations, or just because you can speak Dutch, will there any change of perception when you could speak their language? Of course, what else they thought when they see you as a Muslim with the hijab? Do they have any prejudice or whatever? So this actually excite me, interest me to see what actually documenting your own experience, and also to see what kind of their acceptance toward this issue.
You're most welcome to come in the future, inshallah, and maybe we can do some joint research between UiTM and UIA.
Yep, I would love to.
Inshallah. And then I had some other questions as well. The student support group, is it connected also to the university, or is it separately? Is it just an initiative from the Malaysian students themselves?
Okay, if you're asking about the IKRAM, they basically the Malaysian organization. I'm not sure. I don't think they're attached with the university because university have their own Islamic organizations which involve around all the international Muslim students. But this is mainly particularly initiative by this Muslim Malaysian Muslim organization, which I mentioned they have their own aims, so that when these students study abroad, I actually feel that they know more about Islam compared to me. When I was doing my degree in Malaysia, I don't participate in any Islamic movement just because I live in Malaysia. I can hear azan all the time. I can get halal food in front of my table. But when you study abroad, I realized that these students learn about the history of the Islamic, Turkey Ottomania, you know, the empire of Islam. They know from first to the end how it actually disrupt and so on. So I think this is a good information because they just 20 something and I'm already there when around late 20s, 26. I just know about this. Imagine they have been polishing their knowledge when during the 3 years of degree in the UK, you know, bi-weekly go to this class discussion. Imagine, mashallah, if they go back to Malaysia, they have that sort of knowledge compared to those who study in Malaysia. You're not really interested to go this sort of movement or class. I think this is what make them faith become more stronger. They still retain themselves, coming with the hijab, go back with the hijab. And those who also actually have participants who actually made agreement with her father. If you want to study abroad, you have to wear scarf. And she loved metal music so much, you know, what she did, yes, she wear hijab, but she will go all the concert metal, heavy metal concert in the UK tour. So yeah, she wear hijab with that. She said, this is no problem. I take the challenge, but I also practicing my religion. I go to with guys, you know, non-Muslim, but I still pray. No, she know how to control herself. So I think this is very interesting story about those coming, like you yourself, Rozianna, when you decided to wear hijab at the, in Dubai, when you transit the flight. I don't know how you get the courage, you know, for someone who never practicing Islam, wearing hijab for the first time is such a very emotional moment because you want to go to Malaysia to find your father to get back your faith at Islam, because you told me that I know in my heart that I'm a Muslim. So I keep, you know, almost tears when you keep saying that to me. So mashallah. So that's how actually people can change, you know, because when you go to abroad, you have the opportunity to do that. I'm not sure if you stay in Netherlands, you have the courage to do that because simply you took the step, the huge step to go to Malaysia. So I think that's very wonderful story that I heard from you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You also make me emotional right now, but it's true, definitely. I think that, yeah, studying abroad in Malaysia has been a huge part for me in practicing Islam, and also, yeah, keeping my steadfast heart, because I always keep my friends from then, you and Hani, and I also see FIFA from Brunei in the chat. She was also at USM during our exchange program. She has sent an elaborate message. She said, Assalamu alaikum, FIFA from Brunei Darussalam. I understand your research focus on Manchester. You have mentioned in your conclusion about HEIs having to be more open to the supportive in regards with Muslim communities. I think it's important for me to just share about my experience studying in Birmingham, UK. The university arranged plenty of activities such as Hijab Day for non-Muslims to try to wear the hijab, and Quran Week for non-Muslims to learn a bit more about the details in the Quran. And the university also has prayer rooms for us. So there are some universities in the UK that are very aware and inclusive, and alhamdulillah.
Yes, that's very true. I mean, in the UK, even in my University of Sussex, we have the prayer room. And the most fascinating about that is you have your own code. This is one of the way I want to show off that, you know, I'm cool. I have a code secret room. Basically, this is a prayer room, but they put the code probably because they don't want people to just come in and out. So I believe that for our own peace when we want to pray. So only those Muslims know the code, and people will passing by to see what's going on with that room. They will think something if they know that is most. And I agree with the FIFA, but what I'm saying here also, even though Manchester University has a lot of Malaysians coming, when I was in my fieldwork, these students actually having a petition to have a mosque in the library, and mosque like prayer room in the library. There are some sport in the university that they don't provide the prayer space. I think this is what actually they need to look on, because some of university they have the prayer space but not specifically in certain building. In my case, in the Brighton University, where I used to stick myself to study there in the library, they don't have, they have another building that you have to cross the road. So I cannot be selective. What I did is just pray anywhere, you know, in the library, because I think as long as I pray, but it will be better and wonderful if just give us some small space instead of we just praying everywhere, you know. I think there's a thing that when I'm asking, do you know where is the prayer room? They say you have to go to a different building, you have to cross the road. I think in Manchester University, I was quite shocked when the students have, you know, signed petition, they're meeting their friends, please sign this because we need some. Because I think for those living in the building that requires like laboratory, some place that need, you know, some space, I think they would just want to have that kind of voice to be heard. But what Afifa mentioned is true. Most of us in the UK, they have very particular attentions. The question that we need to ask is how ready we want to answer those non-Muslims about our own faith. About we being prepared as a Muslim, we can actually have hijab day, whatever, showing them Quran or hijab, but when they want to know actually about your practice, your faith, how ready this Malaysian student able to answer that kind of questions. You know, as I mentioned, as simple as why you pray 5 times a day, why not 7, why not 8? So this is the thing, that the critical question that they want to know, you know, give them some substance and knowledge that they can bring back to understand you better as a Muslim. I don't see that just by wearing hijab one day, trying out hijab will give them impact. How is it being a Muslim? Probably they just feel, oh, this is how it feels when you cover your hair. But I don't understand why you're still wearing this, you know, it's probably hot or is what is significant. So we need to go for the very fundamental knowledge, equip ourselves with the certain classes, or the classes can be participated by those non-Muslim to explain this kind of question. I'm sure some of them will be interested to participate and join. Yeah, and thank you so much, FIFA, for your sharing.
Yeah, and I also see Hani. I'll join Dr. Ireena as her research assistant. So I think we have to set up a date so we can plan your research in the future, inshallah. And then if there are not any other questions from the chat, I would like to ask one final question. How is the acceptance of Malaysian Muslim women going abroad alone, actually? Because yeah, in some cultures, it's a bit of a taboo that a woman is traveling alone and staying alone for a longer period of time. Do you have any info on that, how it is overall for Malaysian Muslim women?
Do you mind to share when you read the questions so I can pick up what kind of, is it in your Q&A or?
No, it's my own question.
Would you mind to simplify and repeat it again?
Yeah, how is the acceptance in Malaysia and Malaysian culture of Muslim women traveling and staying alone abroad for a longer period of time?
Okay, that's a very quite tough and interesting question, because it's something that related to the family background. Like for myself, I engaged, then after 2 months of my engagement, I flew to the UK because I've got the scholarship. I have no time, you know, to wait for my marriage or whatever. So it depends on the family. I think Malaysians, we are more to open when sending our children, our daughter to study abroad or working abroad. But for some families, the concern is that about the security. They're one of the reasons, because I think some families, they don't allow, because depend on the country that you're going to, whether the acceptance of the country towards the women, especially when you're speaking about the high-risk country, Pakistan, probably country that have a lot of high-risk issues, they're probably a challenge for them to go. But if you go for the UK country, European country, I think there will be no problem for the people here in Malaysia, the acceptance to travel alone. Again, I'm not speaking on behalf of all Malaysian women, but it just depends on how the family. But what I'm seeing nowadays is that we are more towards open. If you're going to the countries that are already have, visited by many Malaysians or many people, like internationally, like UK, US, I think it's no problem. But if you're going to countries that we are not very familiar, you have less knowledge about their culture, people, there will be some restrictions or acceptance to go there because we don't familiar with that kind of country. As mentioned, for example, like Afghanistan, Pakistan, the less of Malaysian women will travel alone there. But we have one Malaysians that I follow on Facebook. She keep promoting Pakistan, Afghanistan country, and she travel alone, and she even has her own travel log book, sharing her experience. So it's a very rare case because, as I mentioned, we still need some of support and security confidence if we want to go to country that high risk. But for me traveling alone, I think I will do. But again, I have to think that I still need my friend, because we want to have some sort of companion we can travel alone, but somehow we also need people to comfort us, because you will be fine, but some family parents, they will have some worry, a lot of worry. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't see any questions in the chat anymore, so I will round up the webinar. I would like to thank you very much for your time, Dr. Ireena, and also Her Excellency Dato Nadzirah Osman, who has already left the meeting. Yeah, I really enjoyed this webinar session. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, and I hope that we have inspired Muslim women to take the step to study abroad and also develop themselves in different environments. And to all of the participants, thank you for listening. And the recording of this webinar will be available on our social media, YouTube page. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you for inviting me.